Hey, what's up guys? I'm Zora Lightning, and this may look like any ordinary village, and it is an ordinary village in fact, because the thing in this video that is not ordinary is not the village, but the island that the village is on. And if we take a minute to go around and look at some of the structures of this village, we can see that it is a pretty ordinary looking village, except, oh wait, this is a multi-story house here, and there's a blacksmith beside it. That is because I added these things later. Those were not part of the original village structure. And if we go over here, there's a house that I added, that one over there, and this house as well. But other than those structures, this is a perfectly ordinary village, except that it is also a stronghold village, which we can see if I remove this stone block right here, and we can do that, and I can fall all the way down here and determine that this is indeed a ravine, and inside of this ravine is a mine shaft and also a stronghold. But of course that is not the topic of this video that I am focusing on today. The topic of this video that I am focusing on today is, in fact, the shape of the island. So to show off that, we need to go first to a completely different area of the island. That is the farthest point to the south. It doesn't really show up on this map much, so I'm going to put a different map in my offhand. And this journey will take some time because this is a big island. And on my journey there, I might as well explain exactly what I am about to show off. So a few years ago in Minecraft, I only had one island in this world that I knew existed, and that was the island I lived on. And on my left map here, it is the island that looks a little bit like South America, and you can see there's a bridge to another island on it. That was the only island that I knew the existence of, basically, until I decided to get in a boat and travel to the east. And then I discovered this island, and I thought, this island looks kind of like the British Isles, but of course not really because it's in Minecraft. And I later discovered that there is kind of a series, not really a series, it's by multiple people, of building a country in Minecraft, and the country they always focus on is the UK. And I thought, why not do something like that? So I took my island that already kind of looked like the British Isles, and I made it look more like that. And I included Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man because the others didn't seem to do that. I'll link a video or two in the description. But this is basically where I started, and I basically said, I have all this gravel and all this cobblestone and not much sand or dirt, which I will need a lot of for the project. And I basically replaced all of the sand with gravel and all of the dirt with stone. And this was one of the first terraforming projects I did in this world. So this is all artificial here. I placed this all here. I mean, I placed all of it, but this is actually just real land that was replaced. Like, if I remove a block here, you can see that there is indeed sand underneath. Now I will replace that because I spent a lot of time making this look nice. And the other Minecraft YouTubers seemed to only make map art, and I decided why not make an actual functional island instead, and keep the village and keep everything inside of it intact. So yeah, this is the place of starting in this terraforming project, and I also had this big lake here. I didn't really do much to it, except that I replaced all the gravel with sand, because I started having too much sand and not enough gravel. And this was my way of getting more. So I'm going to go next to different end of the island, but not back up north, because that would take some time. And I'm kind of going in chronological order here, but I worked on multiple areas at the same time, so it's a little bit hard to do. So if you look on my map, you might notice at the bottom right corner that the grass switches color from this kind of yellowish green to more of a green green. And that is because this is a savanna biome, but at the other end of the island, that is not a savanna biome, that is an ocean biome. And I wasn't about to go through some crazy process to change the biome for a simple terraforming project. Well, this was anything but simple. But this is all on top of water. Like, there is no land underneath this. And you can kind of even see with my lousy chunk generation. And I did this for the entire part of the map that is either brown right down there or more of a green than the savanna green. This is also artificial land. That right up there is the only part of it that isn't. That is, in fact, an island. And this is all not just an ocean biome, but it is an iceberg biome, so the grass is blue over here. And when it rains, it snows. But yeah, this is a distinction I made between where this island ends and this island begins. And there's actually a desert over that way. But of course, this has to be an island, and it has to look nice on a map. And this is a part I haven't really spent too much time in, because you can see the dirt hasn't changed color yet. This is a river that I covered up, except for over here. Some of my terraforming spots look a little rough because that's how terraforming works, and I'm going to fix it eventually. However, today is not the day to do that. Today is to show the changes I have made. And now we are going to go to the very upper end of this island, because two projects I just showed you were huge, like really, really huge, took a lot of time to do. And now I'm going to show you some that did not take as long to do, but still took some time. Also, there's so many ravines under this island, it's crazy, and I'm all for it. So yeah, we're just going to ignore the weird looking coastline here. But anyway, so up here, first of all, this spot of water, is a tunnel that leads down to a spider farm, but we're not going to do that right now. It's more of a method for me to get more and more XP as fast as possible. this here all used to be land, and now it is water. And this is, of course, to fit the shape of what I needed on my map. And there are a ton of sheep on this island, like, it's insane. And, you might see some skeleton horses. Basically, I came by here and there was a skeleton horse, and I was like, oh cool, a skeleton horse. Then it, like, exploded into 2 more skeleton horses, and skeletons riding them, and I was like, whoa, I forgot how this is supposed to happen. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to work. And here, this entire area was actually water. It was a 1-block deep lake, and it looked really cool. So I was disappointed that I couldn't preserve it, but I did get a different one over here. And I'm thinking I'll try and make this look nicer, but that is easier said than done. And this did take a long time, but this did not take as long. The hardest part was getting enough resources to fill it in, which the longer I did this, the more resources I had, and I started filling village chests with them, and then adding more village chests and filling those up, and it just kept going on and on until finally I finished. But that is not the point here. Now this part was interesting because I originally didn't know what it was supposed to look like when I originally started. I wasn't looking. I didn't make like a reference map. Basically what I did was I took a screenshot of these 2 maps side by side. Unfortunately, how the Minecraft generates maps, it makes these 2 halves of the island split, which is unfortunate. But I put them side by side, I take a screenshot, and then I put an outline of the UK over top of it. And then I save that image and I fill in the gaps of what is missing and take out things that aren't inside the lines. That was what I did for most of this project, but originally when I started doing that, I did not do that. With the outline and everything, I just looked at a map reference and I made some not so great decisions based on that, and one of those was extending the coastline here, but it was way too unbalanced for the map, and it did not look anything like the UK, so I had to take that out, and this is what it looks like now. And this is just the upper edge of this coastline. Like, I changed it all the way down there. You can see that it is kind of flat there. That's because that used to be land. And now the sun is setting, so I'm going to go and sleep. I believe the nearest bed is in the village. And I don't want mobs to spawn because I have a village on this island. And occasionally I do want mobs to spawn, like zombies, so I can transform the villagers into zombie villagers. But today is not one of those days. I promise some of the lag coming from this is not lag I normally get. This is from recording. I mean, I play on my Android phone, so only so much of the lag is from recording, but a lot of it right now is. And I do not deal with this on an ordinary day in this world. But this is more coastline that I have changed. This is more of the southern-ish point. Well, it's more of a midpoint, actually, of where I have modified the coastline. And this looks very rough because it's very high off the ground. You can see I am at Y level 68 right now, but lava is at 70. Like that over there, that's all Y level 70. And just over that way is what I was just showing you, and yeah, this took some time. This took quite a bit of time. And the more southern edge of it, you can see this is more natural looking, but basically what I did here was I just removed all the sand, and it actually worked pretty well. And finally, the southernmost point of where I stopped doing this sort of thing was on this island here, which was the only part that I actually extended on the coast. And again, a lot of this lag is not coming from my device, it's coming from the recording, but also the controller. But this is all stuff I've added, and this land here is artificial completely. I'm going to try and fill some of this in. Except that, okay, I do not have any dirt in my inventory. Anyway, now I'm going to go to the opposite end of the island again, but this time I'm going to go west. Oh, and as I was doing some of the terraforming over here, okay, this is not fun. As I was doing some of the terraforming over here, I dug and I noticed there's a ravine down here. This was a ravine that I had never seen before, in fact. And it is not full of water. This is full of air. Those are torches down there, in fact, and that is sand that has fallen. But yeah, I have been down in there since, but I did not know it existed before finding it. And you might see the conduit power. That was because I stuck a conduit down here to, first of all, light this place up so mobs wouldn't spawn, and I read that conduits damage mobs when they get too close, and I figured that would be good in a village. But, I mean, mobs don't really spawn down in here as much as they used to, but they still do spawn, and the conduit doesn't seem to be damaging them at all. Overall, I think I'm a pretty good keeper of a village because the villagers are doing great in this village. And there are plenty of them, and I have a lot of beds, like more beds than houses. That might not be good in the long term, but it does give me more, it did give me more villagers. And this here used to be part of the mainland. In fact, you can kind of see how I kind of cut a big rectangle out. Yeah, well, this all used to be land here. This is a part of the coast that I'm making look a lot nicer than, say, that part over there. And it was nice because the mountains over here, I didn't have to cut very much into those at all. But this, I think, was probably the part of my project that took me the most amount of time. This here is an entrance to my strip mine. And this here, I used to have a couple of zombie villagers on here, and then I transformed them into non-zombie villagers. Or, I used to have a couple of nitwit villagers on here, then I transformed them into zombie villagers, then I transformed them into regular villagers. So they would not be nitwits anymore. And this over here, yeah, this took me a long time to mine. And there used to be a village farm over here. Basically, there was a river, and then there was some mainland here, but I removed all that. So now it kind of just blends in. I guess the river really helps give it a natural shape. And this part I cut out as well, and I connected it to a water pool. I need to fix that. But in doing this, I started digging one day, and then every bit of sand just fell down in here. And this is a different mineshaft ravine than the one in the village. This one does not include the stronghold either. But I still think this one is pretty cool. I did know the existence of it before I dug into it. But it's still pretty cool to have like such cool access right here with the glass. I wanted to preserve the appearance of both the chasm and the water. This here, I didn't want to carve out the mountain, so I just made a waterfall on top of it, and that achieves the same effect on the map, basically. And that right down there is the stone section. And you can even kind of see how it's floating here. Underwater, or on top of the water. No land underneath there, but I probably will add some eventually. Now I'm going to show off this part that actually I have started working on the land underneath. This is the part that I made that I placed the most number of blocks, I believe. This is Northern Ireland here because I can't have the UK without Northern Ireland. Maybe that's the perspective of a foreigner, but that's my perception of this project right here, and this is all not natural. I added all of this in. Here's a tip for spotting natural and unnatural land, at least in the short term. If it's flat and sea level, it's artificial. If it looks rough and there is more depth to it, then it is natural, like this part right here. Very all natural. And this is a good spot for mobs to spawn at night if I need a bunch of mobs to do that, and I can pick them off with my bow. Also, lots of sheep. This over here is an island that originally it was just an ordinary savanna island, but I didn't want it to show up on the map. And I also didn't want to remove the island because it's a big island, and I kind of liked it. So what I started doing was I thought, what if I cover it with a block that looks enough like the sea that it could blend in on a map? And so I started doing that with warped ground fungus. I don't remember what that's called. It's called like nylium or something, I think. But I didn't have enough netherrack to really finish this. I don't really consider this entirely a part of the same map art as all that over there. However, it is definitely a related project. So I haven't quite finished this part yet, but I do plan to in the future. And I have a conduit under this island so that when I am putting dirt and cobblestone underneath here, or not cobblestone, just regular stone, dirt and stone underneath here, I will be able to breathe. Originally I was just doing it with potions, and I was like, this is taking way too long, so I put a conduit down there. And this part here is just a little extension of the island, or it's now an island. It used to be part of the mainland, but now it is an island. This whole thing is an island, so I should stop saying mainland, shouldn't I? Because the nearest mainland is, it's actually not too far from here, but it's not part of the island at all. This stuff here, more artificial land. It is very flat. And I do plan to make it more, or less artificial looking in the future. So it's more like a river, and I have a random block of dirt there I placed on top of some kelp. And yeah, so this here, all artificial. This was one of the easier parts, I guess, because I saw it as a smaller part of something greater. And this here is a folder I made because this used to be a river, but I drained all the water out of it. It doesn't really blend in a whole lot with the rest of the landscape. I think I might fill it in a little bit more because I do have the resources to do that, I think. But this is what it looks like right now, and again, so many sheep. In fact, when I wanted to get rich in the village and get a lot of emeralds and get a lot of XP for repairing my tools, what I did was I got several shepherds, so I could give them white wool, 18 white wool for 1 emerald, and that made me so rich. I don't have my shears in my hand right now, that's why I'm not going around shearing everything. And now for the final part of the terraforming that I'm going to show you guys. It's probably the smallest part that I've sectioned off as a separate thing, but that is the Shetland Islands, and that is up here. This is sand, a sand artificial island, and this was a real island, but I didn't like the shape of it, so I terraformed it once, and then I was like, yeah, I didn't do a great job of terraforming it the first time, so we're gonna do it again. And that was what happened. And I also spent not very much time digging this out, but my inventory was constantly filling up, so I had to keep doing that. And if you're wondering why the water keeps flooding like this, that is because there's nothing in Minecraft that prevents flowing water from looking just like non-flowing water on a map, so that is why it's flowing, because I haven't really had a reason to make it not flow. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I saw all of you voted for this video to be released instead of the original plan, kind of, which was for me to just do a tour of a castle in a different world. And I do really like that castle, and I've been meaning to do a tour of it for a while. But I ended up doing this one instead, which I had been planning to post this one originally because, come on, it's a cool video idea. Building a country in Minecraft. And I apologize for my lack of video footage from before I did this, because I didn't really think to take any until after I started doing it. I was like, you know what? I should have locked a map. I should have taken a good screenshot. I have some screenshots, of course, but you can kind of see which land is artificial or not. I wish I could show what it looked like before, but unfortunately this seed doesn't work for this place anymore unless I were to load up an old Minecraft 1.16 world or something, because this is a 1.16 world technically. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and if you ever see me doing some background Minecraft footage in the future with me terraforming, and if you ever want to see a full video of what I did, it would be several hours long, be 20 hours long probably. And that's just what I recorded. I didn't record every single thing because stuff happens, and I did try to record most of it, at least in the later parts, but some stuff did slip by, and most of it is without a controller. So I've got that big circle, and it looks like this. However, if you want to watch it, I have some uncut time-lapsed footage of me terraforming this island at the very end of this video. If you want to keep watching, I'll put a timestamp, and if you want to see completely uncut footage of every single thing I've done on this island in the past few months that I've recorded, just comment below, and I can do that. Also, I think I might be able to live stream Minecraft in the future, so if you want to see that, also comment below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and you'll see me next time.